What's up, guys? This is TheKephas. Today I'm going to show you some macros that I've created with Gnome Sequencer Enhanced, an extremely powerful add-on that allows you to create robust macros that can perform most, if not all, of your rotation with a single button. This can be extremely useful if you have a disability like myself, or if you just want to be lazy. Bear in mind that these macros can be extremely helpful, but they also have their limits, so they're made primarily for those who are playing the game at a more casual level. But feel free to use them as you see fit. If you'd like to learn more about Gnome Sequencer and how to use it, I recommend that you head over to WoW Lazy Macros. You can find links to all of that, and to import strings for these macros in the description. Today we're going to check out the macro that I've created for Retribution Paladins in Season of Discovery. But before we do, there are a few things that I want to go over first. So first up, let's check out the runes that I'm currently using. I am using an add-on to show all the runes that I don't have, because I don't have them all yet. I'm not even max level yet. I'm only level 21. Hey, I'm trying to get these guides out as quickly as I can, and I'm trying to level up every class. It's taking a long time, so I feel like I'm far enough along where I can make a comprehensive macro that'll work really well now, and even better once I have everything that I need. So that being said, let's go ahead and take a look at these runes. All right, so first up is Seal of Martyrdom. That's what I'm using for a chest. It's a great rune. It's an incredible seal. It's a good replacement for Seal of Command. Helps with mana regeneration, and it's just awesome. That's what I've been going with. Obviously, once I get to, max level and I can get some help, I'll probably get Divine Storm next, and that's going to be great. So I might switch to that one. But, it depends on how mana is at that point. I might still need to be using Seal of Martyrdom for a little while. But either way, they're both great runes. This has been great for leveling. So this is what I'm using now. But yeah, Divine Storm's probably where I'm going to go. Next up with legs, the only rune that I currently have is Rebuke. It's nice to have an interrupt, but what I really want to get is Exorcist. This is going to be great because it's going to make Exorcism usable on all enemy types. I can't even get this until level 24, so it's going to be a bit longer till I get it, but you know what? Exorcism is great. I can still use it on undead enemies for now. So yeah, that's cool, but eventually it's going to be great to use this all the time. So last up, we have Crusader Strike. Got this one early. Really don't see myself switching off of it. It's a great rune, good for mana regeneration, an extra ability to use to attack, so it's just a nice rune all around. It's been incredible to even have this early on, so yeah, that's obvious what we're going to be sticking with for now. So with that being said, let's go ahead and take a look at our talent build. Now, I am no authority on classic WoW builds, especially in Season of Discovery. I just go with what feels right. So you know what? We're here, we're looking at macros and whatnot. We're not really worried too much about min-maxing, but if you're actually looking for a good build, then I am not the best resource for that. But I'm just going to show you guys what I'm running with because people like to know. It really won't impact your macro either way. So keep that in mind, at least for the most part. There is one thing we need. But with that being said, I went for mana efficiency here. For my seals and for judgment. I mean, obviously, improved blessing is also pretty viable. I mean, that's going to be nice, but I went with mana management. Between this talent, Crusader Strike, and Seal of Martyrdom, I never have to worry about mana practically ever, unless I'm healing a bunch. So that's nice. Then, of course, using judgment more often and improving Seal of Crusader, which is our opener. Those are nice. And increasing our Crusader Strike is also our critical strike. I need to slow down a little bit. Increasing our critical strike is obviously the way we want to go there. And then obviously, like once you hit level 20, usually you go with Seal of Command. I did not because I'm currently using Seal of Martyrdom, so I don't really have a need for Seal of Command right now. If I switch to Divine Storm, then I probably would respec and go ahead and take this talent. But for now, I'll probably put my last point into improved Blessing of Might for now. So yeah, it just depends on what rune I'm using, but yeah, eventually I suppose Seal of Command would be the way to go if I'm using Divine Storm. So for now, this is what I'm running with. Like I said, it doesn't really matter too much with the macro either way, unless you do go with Seal of Command. We'll go over that more once we actually take a look at the macro. So why don't we do that now? Type /GSE to open up Gnome Sequencer, and you can see the macro is called Ret. This is an all-in-one macro for Retribution Paladins, so let's take a look at it. Now, before we look at the actual sequence, I do want to start with key press first. This is what's going to be activated every time you press the button. So obviously we have our standard targeting stuff. We have
start attack in here as well, because we are melee and we want to make sure that we are always swinging our weapon. Now, if you hold down shift, the macro will cast Seal of the Crusader. So hold down shift, press the macro, and the macro will activate Seal of the Crusader, and then you can use Judgment to apply that seal, and that's how you want to begin every encounter. So with that being said, if we look at the actual sequence here, then you'll see up top we have Judgment first. So this is a cast sequence that will pair Judgment with Seal of Martyrdom. So the idea here is that you open up by holding down shift and activating Seal of the Crusader, and then you can, hit the macro again, and the macro will use Judgment, and then it will follow up with Seal of Martyrdom next. That's kind of the idea there. And so that way you're just kind of going through your seals that way. You can also activate Seal of the Crusader on a separate button if you don't want to deal with shift, but either way, just make sure you start by activating that seal, and then the macro will take care of your seals from there on out. If you switch to a different target, make sure that you reapply Seal of the Crusader, and then you'll use Judgment again. And so sometimes it might get a little weird when switching targets. It might activate Martyrdom when you just activated Seal of the Crusader. That is one thing that can happen, but for the most part, it shouldn't be too much of a problem. Now, if you don't use Seal of Martyrdom, like you don't have that rune activated, maybe you're using Divine Storm instead, and you have like Seal of Command, you've taken that talent, then just come in here and replace Martyrdom with Command, and then you'll start using Seal of Command instead. Don't forget to save, but that's how you can do that. Now, next up, we have Exorcism. If you don't have the rune, the Exorcist rune, it's still useful because you'll probably be spending a lot of time in Duskwood, so you'll use Exorcism a lot there, and maybe other enemy types that you might run across. So it's no big deal just to add it in there either way. Next up, we have Crusader Strike. The macro will use that. And then we have a series of numbers. This is actually Divine Storm. I don't know if this is, I guess, the spell ID for Divine Storm, but I put Divine Storm in here and then it just kind of replaced it with numbers. I suppose that's because I don't currently have Divine Storm. I don't have the rune and I don't have it activated. So once you get the rune and activate it, then this should switch over to Divine Storm for you. So keep that in mind. So if you do use Divine Storm, again, don't forget to switch your seal over. But yeah, so this is where Divine Storm will be. So it's going to use that ability on cooldown as well. So either way, it's a pretty straightforward macro. Don't forget to start off by activating Seal of the Crusader, whether you do it on a separate button or you hold down shift. And then the macro is going to cycle between Judgment and Seal of Martyrdom or Command if you switch out to that one instead. And then it's going to keep all of your other abilities on cooldown: Crusader Strike, Exorcism, and Divine Storm if you have that rune. So that's how the macro is going to work. Now, this is classic WoW, and it's important to keep track of your weapon swing timer. Now, I don't have very good vision, so using an add-on or like a weak aura isn't really helpful for me. It's kind of hard for me to keep track of those. So I kind of go by rhythm and feel. I kind of hear when my weapon swing goes off, and I kind of get used to the timing of it. And so what you do is when your weapon swing is about to go off, don't spam the macro too much. And then after the weapon swing happens, then you can start spamming the macro more for a little bit and just kind of start and stop the best you can. You can kind of press it slowly. You don't have a lot of abilities to go through anyways, so it's not too big a deal. But we're using a macro here. We're obviously not worried too much about min-maxing. So if you miss a few weapon swing timers, it's really not that big a deal. But it's just something to keep in mind. It is a little bit different than like if you play retail and you use my macros, you just spam away. No big deal. You don't have to worry about anything. But in Classic, auto attacks are a thing, and there's something to consider. So just wanted to mention that. But again, don't beat yourself up too much. You are using a macro, so min-maxing isn't entirely in the cards. But yeah, I just kind of wanted to mention that. So either way, you guys, a pretty straightforward macro. Going to cover pretty much most of your rotation. Don't forget your seals. And then, it's going to work out pretty well. So I've been using this throughout the whole leveling process, and as I get more abilities in, it's working even better. So let me know what you think about this macro in the comments below, how it's working out for you. With all that being said, I will see you guys on the next one.
Thank you for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, let me know by clicking that like button. And feel free to share it with your friends so they can enjoy it as well. And if you'd like to see more videos, you can subscribe to the channel and click on the bell icon to be notified as soon as new videos are posted. You can also follow me on Facebook, and if you like, you can support my work on Patreon. Links to all that stuff can be found in the description below. This is TheKephas. Until next time.